Welcome to the Visionaries, Champions of Industry, where we delve into the lives and minds of remarkable individuals who have shaped the business world. Today, we have a distinct honor of engaging in a conversation with a true trailblazer, a leader who marked a significant moment in the history of Estonia. Kersti Kaljulaid, the first and only female head of state in Estonia since its declaration of independence in 1918, and served as the country's 5th president from 2016 to 2021. Not only did she break barriers by completely shattering gender norms, but she also assumed office as the youngest president at the age of 46. It's an absolute honor having you here today. How are you? How's Dubai?
Dubai is welcoming, as always, for the guests. I've been here many times for Expo and now for COP. Unfortunately, not seeing that much of the countries. So,
right. Are you excited for COP28?
Well, I really feel that the international community still needs to get together and promote fight against climate change, because precisely here in Dubai, I think you feel how hot it has become.
Definitely.
And elsewhere as well, there are regions in Europe who have registered the hottest ever summers just now. So obviously the issue is urgent.
Right. Now, honestly, COP28 is going to be a place with all global leaders that are going to be discussing global matters, as you said, climate change. So I wanted to ask you, including Estonia, how can we really contribute to the success of COP28 in addressing all of those global challenges, climate challenges, and what specific initiatives do you believe, let's say, are crucial in this regard?
I believe that having a common understanding when the climate neutrality has to be achieved is extremely important. And as you know, Estonia is part of the European Union.
Right.
And Europe really has been the driver behind setting the green bubble for technologies to develop, allowing them to develop, become cheaper.
Right.
And then for the rest of the world, particularly emerging and developing nations, to have technology ready at hand, also at the cost which is competitive with the fossil fuel-based technologies. And that is why I believe that setting clear targets, clear regulation to create opportunities for new technologies is very important. Also within Europe, we have divergence in our speed. Nordic countries are moving really quickly ahead. Finland wants to be climate neutral by 2035.
Right.
Finland, Sweden being Estonia's main export partners, we need to adjust accordingly. And we see it puts a certain strain on industry. But as we always know, the first ones will always win finally also economically, and the last ones always pay. This is how economy works.
Definitely. Now, you did mention a lot of technologies. I wanted to ask you, since Estonia has been recognized as this complete digital hub, right? You have a lot of advancements in your digital technology. How can all these innovative technologies, let's say, be harnessed to support that sustainable change that we really much need in the next decades?
Indeed, it is true that Estonia offers all its public service online. But for that matter, of course, it also saves a lot of paper. It saves a lot of moving around because you never go to a government office. So
Right.
It saves also a lot of office space, which doesn't need to be heated. Overall, we believe that we save about 2% of our GDP because we have digital governance. 2% is not much, but of course we can do more because we also have one of the oldest smart grids in electricity in Estonia.
Right.
So every Estonian consumer can always see how they are consuming, when are their peaks, how much they are paying. We also have our consumer market fully integrated with electricity market in Europe. Not all European countries do, but our citizens always pay the stock exchange price for a given hour, which means that you really try to listen to the signals. And as you know, when energy is green, it's also cheapest on the market.
Definitely.
So there are lots of ways to shift peaks in electricity consumption by just having a smart grid.
Right.
It's a commodity which every government can provide for its citizens and for their businesses to help them to become cleaner.
Right, and that's extremely impressive that Estonia has that. Now, what lessons can we really learn from Estonia's experience in building that secure and that inclusive digital change? What were the challenges that you faced, basically?
Basically, of course, it's difficult to compare because Estonia regained its independence 30 years ago, and that just coincided with the time of digital technologies becoming available. And it's always been private sector-led process. Banks started to offer online services in 1994. First government online service, which was tax board, started 97. Estonia didn't have places where to go and declare taxes. So we never have seen a taxman in our lives. And it kind of was just application of technologies in private sector for the government sector. And frankly, we didn't expect other governments not to do the same. We thought everybody will be in 3 years' time, 5 years' time.
Using it as a role model.
Absolutely, but because probably other countries had bigger legacy systems, they've not been so successful. Most of them now offer also digital services, but they tend to be fractured. Where Estonia differs is we have a digital signature around which all the system is created. Like you have a sun, you have, millions of rays around the nucleus, but the digital signature, the identification is in the center of it, and everything is linked, which means that we can apply once only principle, which means that, you never tell government twice. If you've told your address, government can check it. You don't have to tell it again to next government service.
Right.
And this is where we interestingly still very much differ from all other civil services which work online nowadays pretty much.
Right, in Europe especially, because I would say here in the UAE we're very similar with that.
Absolutely, and I guess this is also because this country has technological prowess. Is not densely populated. People live far from each other and far from offices quite often. And in this environment, you kind of start looking for technologies which do exist in private sector, but many governments still have not been able to take over.
Place it in the public one. Right now, I want to move on to your leadership journey. You were the very first female Estonian president, so I just wanted to ask you what insights you could share with us from your leadership journey. How can these experiences really inspire all those future leaders, future women out there?
Yes, you don't do anything differently because you're a woman. That has to be said. We all know, from social sciences, that the differences within a group are bigger than differences between group. Like men and women may be more similar in other aspects. So I definitely will not go down the route of saying because I'm a woman, I think differently. I definitely don't. But what is positive, of course, is that little children going to kindergarten or school in Estonia, when they draw a president, they draw a woman in a dress. So they will never in their lifetime have discussion, can a woman be a president? Yes, they can. We also have a female prime minister right now. But frankly speaking, Estonia was a latecomer. Because if you look, Latvia, Finland, Lithuania, all had female presidents before Estonia. So actually we do not deserve any prize for that.
They were waiting, when is the next Estonia?
Actually, we were, yes, in our region, we were one of the last ones. But indeed, it was still the question from male journalists when I was president and current prime minister won elections. How will it be if 2 women now will lead the country? And then I pointed politely out that, sorry, but you didn't have that question all that time when 2 men were in the jobs of president and prime minister.
What happened now?
So indeed, but I would say people didn't understand my position on that. But this is how you gradually develop this understanding that our gender doesn't matter, because what exactly would you do? Differently if you are a man or a woman. You are professional.
Now, whether you're a man or a woman, what qualities do you think a leader should have?
Yes, politics needs to be leading, needs to be about vision, and needs to be also about courage sometimes, of pointing out what are the bottlenecks of societal development. In our case in Estonia had grown a lot economically, but we were not paying too much attention to those who are weaker in our society. We were not on par with Nordic countries on supporting special needs people, also making sure that women have enough opportunities for childcare, for example, which will not harass their working opportunities. Yes, we have a kindergarten system, but it's only open from 9 to 5. You need to point it out that this limits women opportunity, for example. Also, how we take care of our elderly. We had to fight quite a lot to make sure that our government pays into healthcare also for elderly, so their insurance policy will be as strong as those people who work. So kind of evening out the societal landscape to give equal opportunities to everybody. And you know, with our past, very often, I mean, people mistake equality to equal opportunities. I mean, we are not all equal, and that's why society needs to support those who are not equal by their opportunity to make sure that they also have the ability to move socially. Social mobility, after all, is the most important.
Right, equity
element.
and equality.
Absolutely.
I see. No, it's definitely very important that all society sectors are covered by that visionary leader that's there, whoever it is.
Yeah, we've been pretty good in some aspects. For example, Estonia always ranks very high in PISA tests, which comes from the fact that our school system is extremely egalitarian. There is no so bad primary school in Estonia where you cannot get a good primary education to go to a good secondary, to go to a great university. So this is expensive. It costs us about 10% of our GDP, but we need to pay attention that we don't lose it while we go ahead. So there is a lot of work which we've done very well, good foundations, but then you need to take it to the next step, let's call it the Nordic level of paying attention to everybody's opportunities.
Definitely, which has pretty high standards when it comes to education and societies.
Yeah.
Now, driving back now to the UAE, I wanted to ask you, during your tenure, Estonia obviously developed a lot of diplomatic and economic ties with the UAE. Can you highlight some of the key milestones maybe, or key collaborations that took place in that period?
Obviously I can. I only came here to visit about 2 weeks after our ambassador came here, which fast-forwarded his process of giving his credentials over in this country, obviously.
Oh, right.
So we've been very keen to make sure that our enterprises who have the ambition to cooperate with UAE, that they have also an opportunity to work together with an ambassador, and this has actually helped a lot. We have in this region some Estonian companies extremely well known, particularly, for example, Nortal, which is a company which is exporting Estonian e-governance knowledge to the Gulf countries, for example. We also now have our defense industry is cooperating with UAE because it's a NATO-accepted partner. So we have an Estonian company called Milrem who also has partners here. And we have several clean tech companies like Zero Ground who are looking to partner with this country. For example, they are offering pump storage technology which doesn't take mountains to work. So they are looking for partnerships here because obviously there is a lot of solar energy here, but solar energy needs to be also available overnight, and particularly for that reasons, kind of flatland pump storage which Zero Terrain offers could be an opportunity, and so on, so on. The list is endless, actually.
Right, well, I hope all of those collaborations do work out. Right, and I wanted to just ask you, there's obviously a lot of global challenges taking place at the moment. We have geopolitical tensions, we have climate change issues, we have the pandemic that just, ended a couple of years back. How do you see the UAE as a role model for all of that international collaboration, and what steps can leaders really take to foster and to make sure that, we stand as a stronger global corporation?
I think all those countries who are designing their future, wherever they are they rich or poor, they need to think about one thing: who in the future is a reliable partner? And reliable partners are those who stick to international law and also national law, those whose legal space can be trusted. I mean, this gives you kind of insurance that your business can function well. This gives you insurance that your investments are never wasted because you have legal security. And I believe most countries globally have to ask themselves this question, therefore, where their partnerships will lie in the future. Whether they want to live in a rules-based world order or they are ready to return to the power-based world order. And I believe that countries which are middle size, they definitely need the rules-based world order. So we absolutely need to stick together and making sure that we do not fall back on the times when we didn't have international legal space where we could rely on our contracts and agreements. And I see here we are real allies. All European countries all stick us to the rules, and UAE and all others who wish to be part of that world, which gives you kind of both, I would say, emotional and economic security.
So be very rational in your thinking, basically, and make sure that you create those international collaborations that are of your interest.
We know those countries who tend to also, make their business cooperate with government to achieve governmental goals.
Right.
And then we have the countries who say that, we have created an economic space which is liberal enough to, trade with most countries globally. And we can be trusted that we will never use our technological prowess, for example, to our geopolitical advantages. Let's take, for example, GPS systems. My children think it's kind of a natural force.
A norm, right?
Natural force.
Right.
I think they've never thought about it, that it's a technology. Because this technology is supported by a democracy, which will not withhold provision of the service to achieve its political objectives. And this is how we should think, I see in
That's a very interesting
21st
way
century.
Of looking at it, definitely. Now, looking back at your time as president, what would you say were your top achievements, some highlights of your presidency that you're going to remember for the rest of your life?
One was Estonian seat at the United Nations Security Council. Not only that it was a contested seat and we won that seat, but we also made friends globally. And in knowing each other also lies security for small countries. Because imagine, let's take an analogy from kind of nature.
Right.
If something happens to koala bear, everybody notices because everybody knows it.
Right.
Cute, little, tiny. But if something happens to, I don't know, a mollusk somewhere deep in the sea, nobody notices. So being known, being acquainted, having friends globally, this is extremely important. And I believe that with our Security Council campaign, we took Estonia one step ahead. Also, quite a lot of business relations developed because of that campaign. For example, with African continent, where some of Estonian companies had set sail to go there because, Western markets are quite saturated. And if you're an emerging economy, then you need to work with Middle East, Africa, less saturated markets. And this campaign took us everywhere and further enhanced this visibility of Estonia as an e-nation, as a digital nation. I believe that must have been at the international level the biggest achievement.
Right.
Of course, there are things which we did at home which matter as well, but probably are not so interesting for outsiders.
Right. I know this is definitely a very beautiful moment and a beautiful memory to have for the rest of your life. Now, since we are coming to the end of our interview, I just wanted to ask you my last question. If I were to give you a time machine and you would go back, 20, 30 years in time, what would you tell a younger version of yourself that's aspiring to be a leader of a nation?
It's very hard to say. I grew up in occupied Estonia. I'm from an anti-communist family. My grandmother served 9 years in Gulag, mining nickel in Norilsk, where she was sent during the Stalinist time. But it's nothing extraordinary, my family story in Estonia. So what I would say is that the one day where everything changed in our life, much more than just economically, was the day when we didn't have to be afraid anymore to speak out. The day we regained our independence. Therefore, I would tell to myself, whatever you do, defend that space, that liberal democratic value space which we have in Europe, and we've been doing it. That's why we are part of European Union. Also to make sure that we can remain with our partners who share the same values. Stick to the values and make everything what you can to make sure that these values are, never extinct in our world.
Definitely, that's a wonderful ending to our interview. Thank you so much for coming here today. It was an absolute pleasure and best of luck at COP28. Hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you.
As we conclude our conversation with Kersti, it is evident that her leadership has left an incredible mark on Estonia's narrative. Her journey symbolizes the strength that emerges when determination meets service. May her journey continue to inspire generations to come, and may Estonia's story of progress and innovation endure. Thank you for joining us in this illuminating conversation with one of the champions of our time. Until next time, stay inspired.